We are just 4 days out from the Iowa caucuses, and today, former President Donald Trump spent the day in court, attending closing arguments in his civil fraud trial. He holds a commanding lead in the Hawkeye state, according to recent polls. CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us now. Caitlin, it's so great to see you.
Great to see you, too. Thanks, Weed.
So this is not the first time we've talked about Trump in court, facing charges, in this case, a civil fraud case. But I wonder whether the impact has changed at all over time, because there was a point where he was saying, this is actually going to help me. Is that still true?
Yeah, and he told Robert Costa today that he plans to be at all of his trials. What's interesting is that this very much, as we've talked about, is the campaign. And for practical reasons, because he's going to be in court a lot, and also for kind of philosophical reasons. He's been kind of campaigning as the target of investigations and what he calls unfair moves by the Justice Department. And it's really fed into his supporters as well. And what's happened is he's gotten a lot of attention for it as well, without facing much political consequence, especially in a place like Iowa. He's been able to go in, have a rally, come back, go to New York or D.C., appear in front of a trial. When he appears at these trials, he gets wall-to-wall coverage of it. And he, you know, as we saw in the debate last night, he doesn't really miss out by not participating in those kinds of things. And his base of support just views that kind of campaigning differently than they do from a DeSantis or a Haley.
As you mentioned, he continues to avoid the debate stage. And I wonder whether you think that strategy is a winning one, because he's not chiming in. He's not defending himself in real time from other hopeful candidates.
Yeah, I think when we look at the success that Trump has had so far, and again, nobody has voted yet, nobody has caucused yet, but if you're kind of looking at how he's been able to maintain this lead in the polls, it turns out to have been a pretty smart strategy, just from a purely political standpoint, not to participate in the debates, because as we've seen, the debates have really, in his absence, been kind of an undercard debate. They've attacked each other. They really haven't gone hard after Trump. I mean, we really saw that in the debate last night between DeSantis and Haley. They were going after each other, barely talking about the front runner in this race. And they've all kind of admitted that this is a race for second place in places like Iowa and New Hampshire.
So why do they care about second place so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild, and it was wild watching the debate that this is all for really a hope for a second place finish for DeSantis in Iowa or Haley in New Hampshire. They could certainly defeat expectations. We've seen that in races before, but not with this kind of polling lead that the former president has, and also with his grasp on Republican and caucus goers, primary and caucus goers. But what I think, you know, is they're trying to do, talking to the campaigns, is present themselves as the Trump alternative. But in doing so, they haven't really articulated, at least what we've seen, of how they would be all that different from Trump. I mean, Haley talks about leaving the chaos behind. Ron DeSantis, you know, has, as you talked to his campaign manager, outlined. But they have been, you know, hesitant to really take him on in the same way that they're taking on each other.
Well, I think this close to the Iowa caucuses, that is surprising, right? Or do they just don't think they can change any Trump voters their way?
Yeah.
Why do you think that they are so hesitant to calling him out?
Yeah, it's a really delicate balance that they've been trying to strike. They don't want to turn away Trump supporters. You could argue that Trump supporters aren't going to migrate anywhere else anyway. But they, you know, if you want to, you know, they've been trying to kind of thread this needle between supporting Trump and his policies, but wanting to appeal to those who may want to turn the page. And there are a lot of voters in the Republican Party that we've talked to that do have that appetite of turning the page. But I keep pointing to their responses to these Trump trials. At every turn, they've come to his defense, at every indictment. And it's really given, you know, an excuse for voters to also feel the same way. You know, if they're not going after Trump, why should a voter? And I think that's what we're seeing, at least in the polls at this point. Again, no one has voted, but that's what we've seen, at least as the overarching theme in this race.
And speaking of turning the page, you know, we've seen so much emphasis on Iowa, but New Hampshire is right there.
Yeah.
Do you think that these campaigns have placed too much emphasis on Iowa and not enough on New Hampshire?
It's interesting because, as you and I talked about, and as you know from covering these campaigns, Iowa is not the picker of presidents, really. I mean, just two, I think, since 1980 in the Republican sphere have gone on to win the nomination. New Hampshire has been much more indicative of the eventual nominee, but Iowa has been the place where these candidates seeking to be the alternative, namely DeSantis, have been trying to appeal. But it's also a very small voter set. I think under 200,000 voters are likely to participate in the primary, in the caucus, far less. So there is this question of why not a focus on New Hampshire. That's what Haley is certainly trying to do. And when you look at Christie dropping out of the race, there is some hope on Haley's part that she could potentially attract some of his voters. But the question is, does anybody want the Christie endorsement? He doesn't seem willing to give it to anybody, and nobody really seems to want it, given how critical he's been of Trump.
And, going back to Iowa, because we're going to be there physically in just 4 days, I wonder if you expect any other candidates to drop out, depending on what unfolds there.
Well, it will be difficult for DeSantis to make the case unless he, does well there. I mean, his team has described a 10-point differential between himself and Trump as success there. If Nikki Haley is close to him, that's a different story. So we'll see what kind of momentum he can seize from Iowa. He's not as competitive in New Hampshire as Haley is.
Yeah. Well, we will see in just a few days.
Yes, we will.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much.